This is Publicity webinar number 2. Thank you for joining us, Charlotte. I appreciate your presence. If you don't know me, my name is Kristen Richmond. I work in the volunteer engagement department. I've also been working in the marketing and communications department, helping out where I can. So I'm excited to kind of delve into more details about Publicity today. And then Allison is on here as well. Allison, do you want to introduce yourself again?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Allison Hedgepath. I am the marketing coordinator for 9 Health. I'm very new in this role. I've been in about a month, so I'm still learning everything, but it's great to be here and I'm happy to help where I can.
Yes, and we are happy to have her. All right. So Charlotte, like I was saying a minute ago, I would love to hear more about, you say you have a publicity coordinator, so that's exciting. Hopefully you can share this with her.
I have two.
Yes, you are doing it right, Charlotte. I love to hear that
But where
really,
are they?
right? But yeah, I'm sure you can pass it along, and we'll send out the recording. I plan on sending. Did you get the first email of the nuts and bolts this morning?
I did.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sending out a part 2 tomorrow. So I'm hoping to have this recording of this webinar in there. So your publicity coordinators, if they're in FMS, they should get this as well. So I would love to hear what publicity efforts you and your coordinators have already started, how you feel it's going, where you feel you need more support. I'd love to just hear a little bit more about your current efforts.
Well, so far, my Rotarian colleague, Lenore McCall, has already put together a very nice poster that she has put out on all of our social media pages out here.
Right on.
That's the primary thing that's going on. We had a meeting, all of my team, last Tuesday, and she got to meet Emmy, who is going to pretty much spearhead the marketing effort. So I don't know for sure what they're working on, but we talked about a lot of different venues that they will probably be using, including the local weekly papers in Conifer and Bailey and Conifer Radio, and then expanding our social media reach.
Wonderful.
And we'll be able to get posters out around the 2 towns as well. Once we have all of our stuff in order. So anyway, that's kind of where they are, what I know they've done. I don't know if they have been together since last week or not.
Right on. Well, that sounds already like you guys are off to a great start. So that's amazing. I will let you know, we just put up, actually, did I do it? I know I received it from Allison. We have a press release for the fall fairs. So that can be submitted to those local publications by your marketing coordinator. So I don't think I put it on the site, but right after this webinar is done, I'm going to put it in the volunteer management system in the resources under the publicity tools. So feel free to check that out. Have you gotten the chance to get into those resources, or you've been able to find everything? Does your publicity coordinators know that those tools exist?
I think that I mentioned it. I have not been on to look at those particular things, been doing a few other things like lining up all of my people that are going to be serving the community. So
that's why you have helpers, right? Yeah. If you want to direct them to that publicity, and I did have a link in the Nuts and Bolts newsletter this morning as well. There are so many resources, site-specific flyers, social media graphics, just all sorts of resources that they can utilize. And we have I have a new thing that I put in there today that has been something I worked on that we haven't done in the past necessarily. So that will be mentioned later in the slides, and I'm excited to chat about it. So yeah, just make sure that they familiarize themselves with that, because we want to support all their efforts to make sure they're not creating anything that we've already created, so they can spend their time more efficiently. Perfect. So I just want to start out we wanted this year's fairs to feel a little different. I mean, after the year that we've had with COVID and, everyone shut in and everyone, the health aspect has been brought to the surface and people are realizing that it's more and more important to get preventive with their health and to understand their personal risk factors, but we still wanted to make it feel fun, right? So this fall season should really feel like a celebration of your community's health. And our whole theme behind that is for the health of it. So I kind of have, a few lines in here, and I've underlined and bolded the few points that are really kind of key messaging for the fall fairs. We really want folks to feel like they have the power over their health. Oftentimes, like, in a major crisis or in a global pandemic, we can feel like that power and that ownership over ourselves is taken away a little bit. So we want to make sure that folks feel like they really do have the power over their health. They have power over their choices that they make about their health, and they have power, to do the right things and get the screenings and to learn more. There's really no such thing as too much information when it comes to folks' health. With that as well, we want folks to feel, get inspired, get motivated, and that's really to get the screenings to make better choices. And then, why do it? Do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for the health of it. So, and I'm putting that more into the toolkit for recruiting participants as well, which will be uploaded to the resource guide tomorrow. I'm about halfway through editing it from last year. So all of this is in that toolkit as well. So just wherever we can fold it in, wherever we can use the term celebrating, giving you the power for the health of it, we want to make sure that that's really seamlessly folded into most of our messaging. So much like last year, like I just said, we made some graphics for folks to use on social media. So the one here on the left is one that is in the the volunteer management system for this season already. So your marketing and publicity coordinator can download it and upload it to their social. And I also kept these two examples down in the right. These are some graphics I created last year. So if your team or any team who's watching the recording wants me to create something similar for your site this year, feel free to email me. My email is all over the publicity tools. It's on this PowerPoint as well at the end. So there's a bunch of ways to find my email. Just send me an email. I will be happy to create anything. If your flyers need customized, just let me know as well. Yeah, so just making sure we get out. And we've already started on our own fair page of putting out online registrations open, go to our site for fairs. So your site can also just share those from our page as well. And it is important that I emphasize once again, I think I made a big deal about this on the first webinar. I'm going to make another big deal about it. Please, please, please tag us in your posts. We want to make sure that we can see it, so that way we can praise you guys in social and share it with all of our audience as well, just to extend that reach. So it's at 9Health365 for Facebook and Instagram, and our other social is still at 9Health Fair. So just keeping that in mind when we're posting some social.
So do you have those two links in this PowerPoint somewhere?
Which two links? To the graphics?
Not to the graphics, but to your Facebook page and other ways that we can get our information to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not linked in here, but it is linked in every single newsletter we send out. At the very bottom of the newsletter, kind of like before the little unsubscribe thing, it says follow us on social. So if folks click there, they can get to our social. And if your volunteer team isn't already following us on social media, please do. Please suggest to them that everyone does, because it really does help our reach, and then they can see what we're sharing and piggyback off of that. So that way we're all doing everything we can to make sure we get the word out. So, great question. Thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, and absolutely interrupt me. I mean, this is a close-knit webinar tonight, so you can interrupt me at any point with any question. It won't bother me at all. It's what I am here for. So I'm sure you already know, and it sounds like your team is already doing this, right? Where you're going out to local organizations, places where people congregate, your just local community groups and community buildings. It sounds like you guys are already reaching out with both towns. So that's great. You already have a head start. You're already thinking about where you can post your flyers and things like that. I see this as, kind of canvassing our local businesses, just getting out on foot someday and not even just hitting, these major ones like the churches and the fire departments and things like that, but also just going to any kind of business and making sure, most businesses are totally fine with even just keeping the flyer on the counter or anything like that. So just making sure we're not just hitting the ones that we usually hit in fair years, but thinking a little outside the box and getting to some other organizations as well. And it sounds like y'all are already planning for newsletters and publications and things like that. So I won't go into too much detail with that.
Well, just so you know, our VFW is going to be providing food for the volunteers.
Awesome.
So I went to the monthly breakfast on Sunday and had made flyers that people could pick up so that they would know.
Good. That's so great. I love to hear that. And we also have those site specific flyers now. I think I put them out on Wednesday. So if you want to use those as well, or, I'm sure your flyers are good too, but just making sure, there might be some information that you didn't think of to put on there. Wonderful. So in addition to all the organizations we were previously talking about, just making sure we're also posting on Nextdoor as that is geographically tagged. So you can get to those folks that are in your general area. You can also join different groups and things on Nextdoor. So you can get at folks that maybe are health conscious or, just searching out those groups and finding your audience that you're really looking to target and thinking that through kind of before you're going on there. Or you can always just do a general post on Nextdoor. It doesn't have to be in the groups, but it might be more helpful to target those more specifically with their health groups. And I mentioned this on the last webinar, but we have a lot of our counties have registered neighborhood organizations. I'm not sure if your county does. I tried to do a Google search of a lot of the counties, and I noticed that some of the smaller ones didn't necessarily have this. So I'm not sure how helpful it would be to you. This is the URL for the Denver County one. But I know like folks in Aurora have found some in Adams County and different places. So if you're watching this, definitely jump on Google, just Google, registered neighborhood organizations in your specific county, and you should come up with a good list. Because sometimes, there's just so many groups out there, you can't know all of them. So the more we can diversify and think outside of the box with different groups and different audiences to pull in, because honestly, prevention in your health is important to every single group. So the more we can get to people that we've never talked to before is for the best. And I'm sure, Bailey in that area is pretty small. So I'm sure a lot of your little neighborhood organizations.
Yes, we're pretty tight down here.
Pretty small knit community, which is great. I lived in a very small community in Iowa for a number of years, and yes, you definitely get to know all of the people, which is just more opportunity to get involved, which I love. So I did want to discuss a little bit about canvassing. So this is not necessarily an effort that we've done in the past. It is a tactic that we've used for our vaccination clinics, and we have found some success here and there. But we learned from that, and I have put together a how-to guide that you can find in the Publicity tools on the resource library. It's at the very top and it says new, so you can't miss it. It's right there. It'll go into way more detail than I have on this slide right now. But one form of canvassing that we've already been doing is canvassing our businesses, right? We already know how to do that. And honestly, going door to door, not that different. It's only different if you make it different in your mind. You can also do, events and festivals. And, I believe your site goes in early October. Is that correct, Charlotte?
Middle of
16th. October. Ah, gotcha. So I know, different places have like fall festivals and different things. And so contact those organizers. Maybe there's a table you can put up Some places don't require a fee for that. Some places do. If they do, or it's just not maybe appropriate to table, you can always ask them if you can walk around and hand out flyers. Just really getting people involved, getting those flyers in their hands, much like you've been doing with the businesses, just in a little bit more of a social environment. Again, having a little fun with it. If it's like a festival, it's kind of the same thing with we're wanting to celebrate our health. So those themes really do go together pretty well. What I would like some of our sites, and I understand this probably won't be feasible for every single site, but I would like some sites to try out some neighborhood canvassing. So going door to door, obviously doing that when people are home. Usually evenings and Saturday mornings are the best for that. But really the power of being able to have a one-on-one conversation where people are in their element, with social media and, public events, or they're at work, they have a barrier up, right? When you knock on their door and you find them in a relaxed setting, it's more easy to have a one-on-one conversation with them and really get to the heart of what we're doing. And oftentimes the folks that we're meeting at the door have never heard of 9 Health Fair or what we're doing, or if they have, they're going to be like, oh, this is really cool. I didn't realize it was back again. So making sure we're reaching those people, and honestly, one of the best ways is to just knock on their door. I have, again, the how-to guide in the Publicity Tools as a resource guide. I canvassed for a number of years at a previous job. So while folks are doing this, or if you're setting it up, you're reading my how-to guide, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or, if you are in the Denver area. I always love to go out with folks and to knock on some doors. So don't feel like you're in it alone. We can definitely help. I'm not sure I could make it out to Bailey for some canvassing, but I sure could try if you reached out. And with that,
well, you'd like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. Honestly, it's one of my favorite jobs. It was one of my favorites. It was a good time. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, for 2 years, I just knocked on people's doors for my job, and it was great. I'm sure I annoyed some people, but I had fun, right? And that's the whole thing with canvassing, is having that mindset that, we're going to make a positive impact in the community. And, if you meet 5 people in the whole time that had never heard of 9 Health Fair and take a flyer and come to our fair, to me, that's a win. And that's 5 more people that are going to hear and know about their personal risk factors before they, have a serious problem that it's harder to manage, right? That we all know the importance of preventive health, but going to someone's door and talking about it, it can have a bigger impact. It can have a greater impact. But in order to make that successful, there's a few things that we need to do. I've already mentioned, knocking when people are home. Don't knock during the workday. Don't knock when people are at church. They're not going to answer. It's not going to be efficient for your time. Pay attention to no soliciting signs. If people have special notes on the door, like, hey, my baby's sleeping, or hey, I'm a day sleeper because I work overnight, skip their house, not worth it. Have a plan before you go out. Google Maps is a great tool. 20 houses per hour is a great metric to try to achieve. And you can count those houses on Google Maps. So if you do a certain view, if you can do it like a satellite view, you can also go down the street and actually look at it. But again, with a small town, you probably know all of your neighborhoods. This would probably be better advice for the Denver area or Aurora. And with that, keep it simple. Have a script. Practice the script. Feel comfortable with the script. Don't make it feel too scripty. It's still a conversation. Still want to leave room for pauses, for questions. Yes, Charlotte. Perfect example.
I think that it would be really good if we already had our t-shirts in order to do this, because believe me, out here, you don't want to go knock on anybody's door unless you can identify exactly who you are. So absolutely. I don't know if we can get some t-shirts.
Does your team have the old 9 Health Fair t-shirts?
Not everybody.
Gotcha. Well, we can definitely get you some of those before you would do your canvassing efforts. We are, honestly, I hope to have the t-shirt information in the email tomorrow. I'm just waiting on our company that makes the t-shirts to update the page that you order your t-shirts from. So it still has all the outdated t-shirt information from all the years previous. They didn't update it to 9 Health 365. So I'm hopeful that that will be done by tomorrow and that teams can start ordering their t-shirts tomorrow, because we definitely want to make sure that folks do it ahead of time, at least 2 weeks before their fair date. And I know that's running up close to the Arvada Fair and the Aurora Fair. So again, it is my hope to have that. But if not, I think canvassing and 9 Health Fair t-shirts would work just as great. And then when they get to the fair, all of the outside things will still be 9 Health Fair. And then when they get inside the building, that's when they see all the 9 Health 365 and the fun colors and all of that. So I don't think it would be too out of the ordinary for the 9 Health Fair shirt, but hopefully, right, we can get you those shirts ahead of time. Great
That'd be
question.
good.
Because we definitely want folks to feel uniform, feel like a team. Canvassing in pairs is always great. You can see this nice photo. That's actually us out there canvassing for the Barnum Vaccine Clinic earlier this summer. And we wore all those shirts as well. So I definitely understand the importance of it. I did create a sample script in the how-to guide. It's definitely not a hard and fast script. You can feel free to adjust it to make it feel more like you. And I think every volunteer can do that. We don't want any, robo voices happening at the door, because then it gets boring and no one wants to listen anyway. Say thank you a lot. When I used to canvass, I said it so much that sometimes every once in a while, every few months, someone would tell me that I was thanking them too much at the door. So unless someone is telling you, stop thanking me so much, you're really not thanking them enough, because they're taking time out of their day. Maybe they just got home from a bad day at work, or maybe they're in the middle of dinner and they take 2 minutes to chat with you. That's 2 minutes out of their day that they could have been doing something else. So making sure we're probably thanking them for that, thanking them for asking questions, thanking them for coming to the door, thanking them for prioritizing their health. Anything we can thank them for, it's a good practice to do so. Good body language is always nice. If you feel nervous at the door, you're going to make the person you're talking to feel a little nervous and unsure as to your presence at their home. So making sure, you feel confident, you're supposed to be at their door, you're talking about something important, you're giving them a flyer and you're walking away. And honestly, just relax, have a conversation. It's a two-way communication. So really listening is just as important as speaking sometimes, and understanding where the person you're talking to is coming from. So that way we can meet everyone where they are, because everyone has the ability to prioritize their health. And I believe everyone wants to, they just need the tools and the accessibility to do so. And that's what we're doing. We're giving them that accessibility. So just making sure we're keeping that in mind if we do decide to door knock. Again, I'm going to throw this out there. Please reach out to me if you want to do this. Anyone, Charlotte, or anyone who's watching, I would love to help out. So these are some of the flyers I was talking about, Charlotte. They're in our resource library in the Publicity tools. So the one on the right here is the custom flyer for our data. Your site is the exact same, just with your site's information in it. If there's anything that's special to your site, or you have a logo that you want me to add to this, happy to do that. Just feel free to email me with those specific instructions and I can get it back to you. Usually it doesn't take me very long to do that. I should have it back to you within 24 hours of any requests. So just keep that in mind. The one on the left here is more of a general flyer, and that is also available in our resource library. So and I'm always, again, happy to do anything else. So just let me know if anyone has any special requests. Yes. Oh, and I also thought about putting a QR code on here. So if anyone wants a QR code, they're not hard to make, so you could do it, but I'm always happy to do QR codes. I should have done that at the beginning. Oh, well, next year. So I think you and most of the folks have seen the shirts already. So these are the shirts. So hopefully, again, folks will be able to order those tomorrow, fingers crossed. And it sounds like your team is already really good at this. So getting your volunteers involved, I find, one of the best incentives for getting Day of Volunteers is that 20% off their screening. So I usually have it, in one of the first couple lines of any volunteer recruitment I'm doing, is just so they make sure that we value their time, we value their passion, and we want to reward them for that. We also want to make it easier for them to prioritize their health as well. So just definitely valuing our volunteers so much. And again, get them involved. If they want to start volunteering a little early before the day of the fair, get them involved in canvassing. There's lots of ways to get our volunteers involved that aren't on our leadership team as well. And with that too, if you have past volunteers that come back every year, maybe, when you're recruiting them, maybe reach out and ask if they can do a 10 to 30-second video about why they like to volunteer. And then your marketing folks can use that on their social. Or if you have videos from your volunteers from last year, videos really do just perform way better on social media. Any kind of outreach we're doing, we always get the best metrics on videos. So if you have those loyal, passionate volunteers, please reach out to them and utilize their passion to bring in even more folks into the fold of preventive health. And then with that too, reminding participants of what we can offer them. A really big pull, as you probably know, are the flu shots. So many people get very excited about the flu shots because, if they don't have health insurance, it can cost so much money to get a flu vaccine every year. So we want to make sure that those folks have access to that. If your fair has the pharmacist with the flu shots, then they're also going to bring COVID vaccines, at least the Pfizer, maybe more, we never know. But honestly, just all of our screenings. Is your fair going to have more of the free screenings than last year? Yeah, good, awesome. I get excited that folks are able to do that this year. It was really sad that we couldn't have all of our free screenings last year. Yeah, so just making sure folks are aware of that. Honestly, I think, in addition to the flu shots and of course the discounted and free screenings, I think one of the great things about what we do is the dashboard where they can view their results, which is just another tie-in to get people to register online beforehand and make an appointment, right? But honestly, I think being able to track your health lines, especially, if you're someone like me, if you're recruiting a participant that's my age, I might not care or about my health every year, but I might get a physical every couple years. And so I can see, even though it was a long time, my memory is not that great. I can look back at my dashboard and I can see, 2 years ago, these are my levels and I'm staying kind of the same. I'm doing good things. And then I can kind of see even those minute changes in there. So I love the personalized dashboard and I don't think we talk about it enough. So putting the emphasis on that, and that's a good way to draw folks to do the appointment as well. And I just like this graphic. So if anyone wants this graphic, I can give it to you because really, a prevention is worth way more than a cure later. So anytime we can do that. So questions, that's it. That's all of it. I will be sending out publicity nudges, like I mentioned in the first one. The first 2 fairs are going to be getting them relatively soon because we are bumping up on there 2 weeks prior to the fair. So as a reminder, 2 weeks, banners, coming soon signs, all of that fun stuff that'll be in that first publicity nudge for those first 2 fairs, in addition to some few other things. Charlotte, you've been very great about asking questions during this webinar. Do you have any additional questions that you need answered?
No, I just want to know where my peeps are.
Yes, Allison, no one was in the waiting room, right? I didn't leave anyone hanging this time. Okay,
Didn't
good.
see anybody.
I felt so bad last time. Yeah, so Charlotte, that's, if you have questions later, or if your coordinators watch this later and they have questions, definitely stress that they can absolutely reach out to me anytime. On my email is my cell phone. Folks can text me just as long as they say, hey, this is who I am. This is the fair that I'm from. I'm really terrible about saving numbers. So if you don't give me your identity, I have no idea who you are. And again, the publicity tools, so many things are there. So check it out. If something's missing, reach out to me and I will get it up there if it's not there already. Sometimes I just forget to link things. Perfect. Well, that is it. Thank you for joining us, Charlotte. I appreciate you spending a little bit of your evening
Well, I
with
can't
us.
believe you guys didn't have more people joining you. That makes me crazy.
Last time there was only 2, but then it turned out they were all in the waiting room. So they were probably like, Chris is not going to let us in this time, so we're just not going to come.
Oh.
Learned my lesson. It's all good. I'm terrible with technology, even though I'm young. So what can you do? All right, Charlotte. Well, I hope you have a great evening. Thank you again for joining us. And please look out for the recording in the nuts and bolts email tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.
Thanks.